So guys, I just came from church, but some have been on my mind. And I want to say that I think desegregation is one of the worst things that could have ever happened to us, right? What I have been dealing with as of late for quite some time is the fact that as a black person, as a culture, we're going through a devastating time, whether you've paid it any attention or not. I looked at where it has not only Nolan Wells is one of probably 7 people that have drowned when it comes to hanging with other cultures, right? Then there are all those people that in Mississippi who also had untimely deaths that were ruled suicide that obviously did not look like suicide. And then the 3 girls that drowned when they were on the trip, the 3 African American girls, and then as of late, the 29-year-old that was up so high that they had to get a cane that was hung behind an empty building, and they, it's like, oh, there has to be an investigation, and on and on and on and on, right? And then I think the latest thing I saw was the 3 ladies that were the 6 ladies that had a brunch at a restaurant. They didn't want to serve them, and the cops came and was giving them a hard time, saying show an ID just by wanting to have a brunch for a woman's birthday party, right? And it goes on and on and on. We look at the fact that it showed a young offender, white guy raped 2 young girls, and he got something like 9 months or something and was off free. And the 2 judges that let him go said because he was a youth offender. But we know that when it comes to us for justice, even if we're trying to defend ourselves, the law switches on us. It becomes murder, even if it's self-defense. Even if it's something that is a mistake, it becomes life sentence. It is all because of the color of our skin. And I feel like at this point that not only is it getting worse, you're looking at the voting rights that have been gutted. You're looking at the fact that the gerrymandering and the redistricting of places where they even talking about taking away absentee voting. And so let me school you on that. Even if they take away absentee voting and they're doing everything they want to do, if you haven't noticed by now that the Democratic and the Republican Party are friends, I don't even know what to tell you. That these people party together, that these people talk together, that these people have dinner together, that these people go on vacations together. I need you to understand that when you have spiritual insight, you begin to know that this is something that has been in place for the longest of time, and it's just taking fruition. I have been saying for years and years and years that you should not be putting your trust in the government. I have been saying for years and years and years that it is not what it looks like, and that is why we need to stay close to God and keep our eyes on God. We are almost back at the Jim Crow era. We are almost at the place where, or we are definitely at the place now where things have digressed so badly, and we still have not opened our eyes to see what it is, right? You have back even in 2017 where there were a group of old rusty people, and not only old and rusty, there were a lot that were not culturally innate. They didn't look like us. And then there were also a lot that were up in age, probably 70, 80, whatever. The problem with that, and they was talking about women's right, there was not one woman in the room. So you got the problem of people representing us that does not even look like us. You have a civil rights committee that looked like probably 70 or 80 people, and there were 2 women that were 2 black women. I didn't see one black man in the room. I see a lot of things going on that doesn't represent us. It does not look like us. There have been so many black people forced out of work since Let's Make America Great Again has came into place, right? you have over 600,000 at this point, probably close to 800,000 or more black women out of work, and disproportionately represented when it comes to the workforce, because the numbers that show the black women out of work versus the white women and how long black women have been unemployed is staggering, right? And so if you haven't seen that this is something that's in place to keep us as slaves, keep us, it's modern day slavery, I'm gonna say that, because you have to be first free in your mind to be physically free, right? So it's modern day slavery. And even if you have not noticed how everything is set up, right, where the farmers, all the immigrants that were taken away, and this has been swept under the rug, and all these things that's happening, right, has been swept under the rug. But from what my understanding is that the immigrants that were taken away and the number of black people have been put out of work, it is sad to be thought that the black people were going to be the ones that go and take the place of the immigrants on the farms. What is that? What is that but what it used to be, right? It's just modern day slavery, and you probably wasn't going to get paid anything again. But it's a digression and a plan to get us back where we used to be, right? And not only that, I need you to understand that when you're looking at things for what it is, and you take a seat and say, God, show me, and you begin to pray about these things, not only do you see the plan that is happening, we know that it won't prosper, but the word also says that my people suffer because of lack of knowledge, right? There is a lack of knowledge, and there is a lack of hunger to be interested in us and who we are, right? You have every culture that maybe can have some things that say, oh, the Asians are into technology and they come over here from other places. I've worked in corporate America. They come in, they are hired from other places. They work in IT, they work in technology, they work in engineer. They do all this stuff. They gather their money and they go back, right? You have, for example, you have a lot of the Chinese people that are over here who have all the hair stores, that have monopolized the hair stores, and then have formed relationships with the suppliers that will actually go and see if this is a good deal to do business with somebody else, and will hold up supply and everything else because the poison and the toxicity is spread, right? So they kind of like try to get a monopoly on that. Then you have even the Haitians, the people that also look like us, our brothers and sisters that have a monopoly in so many places, especially in places like Atlanta that do braiding. They open up their shops and kudos and things like that. But then you also have our other brothers and sisters, the black people, the African Americans, right? That really, to me, their whole thing was, let me be a part of what the European people got going on. Let me be a part of the Caucasians. And to me, the worst thing that we could have did was desegregation, because I have said it over and over again. We put our trust in something that cannot sustain us, that does not have the love for us, that does not love us like God loves us. It is all a whole big mess, right? It is all a big conspiracy. And the more everything pops up, the more it makes me just be like, I'm just bewildered, right? I'm confused, because we right now have a leader that has been accused on 34, 38 counts of everything that you could think of, that is settling cases, accused of gaping somebody and then having to pay off. This is the leader that we have that is in the middle of a case that is like it's being brushed under the rug, is being accused of stealing, of tax, all sorts of things. Anything that you can think of now, even to the point where we are concerned about a fake United States attacking their own country to pretend like there was an attack, to have military forces go against Iran to start a war, to make it look like we was on an attack, just to fulfill the propaganda of what is really going on, for the selfishness and the greediness of the leaders that call themselves leading our democracy, right? So when I tell you that there's no truth in a liar, and a lie cannot stand. See, there's gaps and holes. Everything is playing out right before your eyes, right? That even the food that we eat is being tainted with. Even the vaccines that we have been given, and then the data centers that are strategically trying to be put up around that will have effect on your system and your bodies, right? Because we know that even when data systems are near farm areas, that animals miscarriage or have babies that are dead because the effects of the data center, right? When I tell you nobody but God can save us now. Nobody but God can save us now. And it takes me back to the story, and it takes me back to the Bible when God talked about not mixing among foreigners, right? Or it talks about in the old days, especially of the days of David, right? Not to mix with the foreigners and things like that. You can take it like you want to take it. I'm saying this is what it reminds me of. But I tell you, and I mean it, and I have always stood on it, and you have never heard me say different. Desegregation is the worst thing that could ever happen to us. Because this is what happened when you can't identify with your own. This is what happens when you don't know your own self-worth. This is what happens when you don't know the power and the authority given on the inside of you, and you don't love yourself for yourself. Too many young black girls and black boys have taken on the perception of this is what I want to look like at an early age, because they weren't taught that we were good enough. They weren't taught the love of what we have. And I'm going to tell you that slave mentality still carries on today, generation after generation after generation, because you would rather, listen to what I'm saying, you would rather listen to somebody else that looks different than me than listen to me. And I say it because I have been in management a whole lot of times in my life. I have been manager, I have been supervisor, I have been lead this or lead that. And I run into, even at the workplace, where people that look like me do not want to respect me and do what I say because of what I look like. But the same person that does not look like me can come in and tell them to do the same thing. And it's yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. Now, that's a problem, because guess what? Because that slave mentality has carried over for so many years, that brokenness. You have to be healed, that you don't believe that you deserve what you got. And if you believe you deserve what you got, you don't believe somebody else deserve it because they look like you. You would rather see somebody else prosper and have it than somebody that don't look like you prosper and have it. And that's a part of that slave mentality. It's a part of that self-hate. It's a part of that part of your brain that's broken and dysfunction, that helps you, that keeps you thinking that somebody else that look like you really don't deserve it. You would rather help a stranger than help your sister and brother that you see every day. And you can't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, because we see it every day. You would rather, you think you're so messed up in the mind, dysfunction is so bad that you would rather go out and kill your brother and sister and sleep at night and knowing that there's a war already against us. You would rather not come together and unite and go to God, repent, turn from your wicked ways so that he can heal our land, so that he can hear us from heaven and heal our land. You would rather do your own thing. The ignorance that we portray as black people is very disheartening, right? It's very disheartening. And it has gotten to a point that it has bored over inside of me. Like when I tell you, we don't owe a thing in this world. We don't owe a thing. United States filed bankruptcy years ago for an exchange of gold that freed us from ever owing anything. Right? And that social security card is what did it. And I say that, and I always be like, don't say that, because I don't want to get into all that. But then I say, yeah, maybe I need to teach all this. We're debt free. But we have been set up and fooled to think that we owe everybody and everything, right? And that's the part that makes me boil over when you see cricket people continue to be cricket and continue to be greedy, and you say the nerve. I say to myself, the audacity for you to keep graping me over and over again, because that's what it feels like when you have the knowledge to know what's going on. Good enough just ain't good enough. Not only am I robbing you, then I'm stealing from you. Then I'm taking from you what I stole from you again and again. And then I'm charging you again and again for what you don't already owe. It's simply just like that. It's just like that. It's just like that. The things that have been put into place, the rules and everything have been set up to make the rich richer so that their descendants can live off our back year after year after year after year. And that is why, as a people, we need to have the knowledge. And desegregation has been the worst thing that has ever happened to us. The worst thing, because we voluntarily decided that I'm going to put myself in a space where I could be taken advantage of over and over and over and over again, and ripped of my identity, my heritage, and my history. That is why right now you see black books and everything taken out of the library and out of spaces and burned. That is why right now that so-called leader is trying to rewrite history over and over again, taking things on websites, rewriting them, taking things and trying to take our history away from us, trying to take everything away from us that will remind us who we are. And that is why today, as black people, we struggle to know anything about our history, because it's a repeat. There's nothing that has been done in this earth that has not been done before. You came into this earth trying to figure out who am I and where am I and what's going on and where did I come from. Why? Because it had already been done. Just like the Wall Street was burnt down, excuse me, burnt down so that the history and everything else could not prosper. But the only reason that we're still here prospering is because of God. That's where you're going to get your knowledge from. God will speak to you. God will tell you what's going on, right? God will lead you. But you got to be willing to learn. Ask God for wisdom. I pray God give me wisdom above everything in the name of Jesus. Wisdom to see what man don't show me. Wisdom to understand what can't be perceived through man. Wisdom to know what to do and say and what to do and add and be a part of the solution and not the problem. Wisdom to get what I got to get exceedingly, expeditiously, because you gave me the power to do so. It's time to take the blinders off. We need to be coming together as a people, whether it means doing a video, whether it means getting in, teaching a class about something that you know to enlighten somebody else, whether it's about helping other people to open businesses amongst ourselves, whether it's supporting black businesses all over, whether it's talking to your children in your house, letting them know the foolishness of their ways, that our lives are valuable before God. All of that. Teach one, reach one. Right? So whatever you got to do to be part of the solution, you need to do it today. All those things I named to you is just a scrape on the surface of what it is. It's a scrape. And I try to be careful with my words, because we don't even own social media sites for real that'll let us speak our minds and educate without it being banned, because we don't control it. So listen, desegregation is the worst thing that could have ever happened to us. We got to know the value of us. If there has never been a race of people that have came back from the brink of slavery and fought them ways out, that have come to the places that we have come to, even to the fact of a black president that was way back when Obama wasn't the first black president. right? We have to get to the place where we know that everything we need is inside of us. So much to the point that if we stop spending our money, then the whole economy will collapse. We take this country on our backs because we're the top spenders in this country. Whether it be your weeds, whether it be your hair, whether it be electronics, whether it be whatever, we are the top. We carry this economy on our backs. I need you to understand that. If you take those same black dollars and invest it back into your neighborhood, invest it back into your businesses, invest it back into your churches so that churches can invest it back into our community, you will be astonished at how quickly we will rise as a people. The power we have is not equal to anybody's power because we're above average. Check your books. Look back at yourself. We have got to get past this stuff of trying to be stealing that don't belong to us. The people that run out there stealing everything, that you're ghetto. You're white. You're ghetto for that. The people that's running around shooting people because you have a disagreement, you're weak in the mind. What gives you the right, because you don't agree with somebody, because you anger with somebody, to give you the right to take somebody's life? The reason why you can kill so easily and run around so easily because you're being led by that devil spirit, by that wickedness that sits in high places and principalities. You're not being led by God, because God is the only giver and taker of life. You don't have any right to take anybody's life. You're sending your kids to school ghettofied and ignorant, talking back, calling names. You can't even teach because they're so bad. It starts at home. And then you can't nobody tell you nothing, because then when you try to tell you about your kids, you get upset and you cuss the teacher out. I am a teacher. You understand what I'm saying? Something has got to give, because you're worried about the wrong thing and looking at the wrong thing. Everybody want to be about something else instead of being about what you're supposed to be. You're kings and queens made in the image of God. Therefore, you should carry yourself as such. Right? I was so confused. I saw a guy one day. I've seen so many of them that walk around with their pants under their butt with the belt buckle and walking like they retarded, waggling because they couldn't even walk. Who in their right mind wants to put on a pair of pants and your butt not even covered? Your stuff ain't even covered. You got on underwear. We see your underwear. I don't care if they clean, but it looks nasty, right? You might as well take the pants off, because you don't understand that was a part of history where it shows, especially when it came to the slaves and the prisoners, that they had been broken in, had been raped by other men, white men, slave owners, that showed to other slave owners that they had been broken in. And you know what I mean by broken in. But this is what our boys do. They walk around with their pants off their ass. What? To show that they broken in, because they don't even understand what it means. We pick up stuff that doesn't even make sense because we don't know anything for ourselves. And I'm sorry if it seemed like I'm coming down on you, but at what point do we open up our eyes? At what point do somebody hear what I'm saying? You can't be lazy when raising your children, because this is our future leaders. This is what's happening. And it's been passed on and passed on. And if you ever been on a social media site where you see what white people say, the things they say, it makes me so angry, guys. I have to get in the face of God and say, plead for him to help me. The way that they talk about how ignorant we are, the way they talk about how they don't even have to do nothing because we're killing ourselves out, the way they call us animals and apes and the usual crowd, the way they talk about when stuff happen, oh, we not surprised. You would be livid to know how people look at us, how even other countries look at us, because they ask themselves, who allowed this person to, is this how everybody feel? The racism is bewildering to them. The stupidity blows their mind. It's like That's why you can't travel too many places now. And they even have love for us, because it's like, really? The way we're being represented, you got to look at it, that what's being allowed over here is what is representing us. So right now, it looks like, yeah, go ahead. Do whatever you're doing. Why? Because those in place, people that have the power and the position to do something, not doing it. Those who didn't do like Kaepernick did and got on one knee and took a stand. Those who won't take the stance, but instead will sell out and then go and buy products from the very company that we boycotted to show, to show unity and show where we stood, would turn around and represent them to help get every penny back that they'd lost and more, because it wasn't about the standing up for the calamity of the black people. It was about filling their pockets. You understand what I'm saying? And if you know, you know. The very people that talking about teachers and how they're hiding what they see, they're limited, right? Talking about the very people talking about, oh, they don't make past 30,000. Listen, I have a doctorate degree and can get 70,000 walking in the door, right? Talking about how teachers are, I guess, disposable, limited. Our people talking about our own people, because that's trauma bleeding over from whatever experience he had. You understand? It is the people that have the authority to sit down and boycott and say, until something changes, we won't play. We won't play. But it's too big of a risk to take, because I might end up having to lose something along the way to help the greater cause. Because we can't come together for nothing. And I'm telling you, it's going to take God to turn this thing around. It's going to take God. And if you ain't got God on your side right now, get ready for a rough ride. Because me, it says 1,000 may fall at my left and 10 at my right, but it shall not come near me. I'm covered in the name of, by his blood. I'm covered. So get ready for the bumpy ride. But you better make up in your mind if you're going to be part of the solution or you're going to be part of the problem. Because either way, you're going to have to fight. You think people fight for their life now with prices and the rise on everything and the corruption. And listen, get ready to fight. Because I'm telling you, all this stemmed from desegregation. It is the worst thing that could have ever happened to us. This is Dr. Michelle. You guys have a blessed day. Peace.